Hey guys, it's Mr. Lancaster. Welcome back to Science. It's Tuesday, May 12th, and it's good to see you all. So last time what we were talking about was mosquitoes, and I'm going to share my screen with you, and I can catch you up if you were not here. Okay, here we go. Okay, So when we first started off, our question was, what's the best way to get rid of mosquitoes? And
Hi, it's
Doug had talked about when he was a kid, he would be playing, and then all of a sudden there were mosquitoes, and it didn't seem like that big of a deal to him. Besides, it was just really itchy. And we learned some things like female mosquitoes are the ones that bite you. It's not the male mosquitoes, and also that they are trying to take some of your blood, but like the itchy part that leaves is actually the saliva. And sometimes when they take blood, sometimes they can leave other things like some diseases that can hurt people and can be very harmful. So we found out that the most harmful animal on the planet was actually the mosquito. When sometimes most people would think of something like lions or bears or snakes or just something big and scary maybe, but nope, it's a mosquito, and it kills more humans than anything else in the world. So we even talked about how there was a French army that got malaria, and the name malaria came from the name come from the people who thought that it was coming from the swamp nearby, because the people who were getting sick were all living near a swamp close by, and they thought that, oh, it must be the bad smell coming by, and malaria actually means bad odor or bad smell. And they thought that was it, like the smell was so bad people were just getting sick. But that actually wasn't the case. It was actually all the mosquitoes being there, because what we learned was that mosquitoes, they need lots of water, or not a lot, but they just need water in order for them to lay their eggs, right? And then we left off with this question: why do you think there are mosquitoes in tropical places? So why do you think that? I left you with that question. You should have thought about it by now. If you haven't, you can pause the video and think about it, but I'm going to keep going.
tropical places where the weather is warm and wet all year round are the best kind of places for mosquitoes to live. Scientists have figured out that mosquitoes need warm weather because they die when it gets too cold. But warm weather isn't enough. There are warm places where you won't find a single mosquito. Deserts. Deserts are dry. They get very little rain. So it's not just warm places that mosquitoes need. They need places that are warm and wet. Mosquitoes are especially common in swamps and rainforests where there's lots of water all year round. But that seems strange, doesn't it? Mosquitoes don't live in the water. They fly around in the air. Plus, it turns out, mosquitoes hardly even need to drink water because they can get the water they need by drinking blood. So, why would mosquitoes need water to live? To figure this out, we need to look at the entire life cycle of the mosquito. Like many other insects, mosquitoes completely change the form of their bodies from when they're young to when they become adults. It's like with butterflies. Butterflies start out as larvae, that's the caterpillar stage. Then they turn into a pupa or cocoon. Once the pupa goes through metamorphosis, a butterfly emerges. Well, mosquitoes go through the same phases. They start out as larvae that look like this. You can think of these as being like the caterpillar of mosquitoes. They're little worm-like creatures that people sometimes call wrigglers. At this stage, they live entirely in the water. They can't fly, and they eat tiny living things in the water rather than sucking blood to get their food. In the next stage, a mosquito larva becomes a pupa. It's like a cocoon, except it's in the water. Mosquitoes don't leave the water until after the pupa goes through metamorphosis. That's when an adult mosquito emerges with wings and ready to suck blood. So, mosquitoes need water because they spend the first half of their lives in the water. Without water, mosquitoes wouldn't have anywhere to lay their eggs and grow up. This explains why there are more mosquitoes in tropical areas. It's because those places have more water for mosquitoes to lay their eggs and grow up. It also explains why even outside of tropical areas, places like where I grew up in the United States, there are always more mosquitoes in the spring and summer. In those seasons, the weather is warmer and there's more water available for mosquitoes to lay their eggs. In fact, people often get worried after an especially rainy spring season because they expect that there will be more mosquitoes that year. Learning about the mosquito life cycle can help people figure out ways to avoid getting bitten by mosquitoes. Given what you've learned about mosquitoes and their life cycle, does it give you any ideas for how people can avoid getting bitten?
So given what you learned about mosquitoes and their life cycle, what are some suggestions you would give to people to help them avoid getting bitten by mosquitoes after a rainy season? This is a tough problem, and this is what a lot of scientists are facing right now is they don't know how to handle some mosquitoes, and some people are even thinking about getting rid of mosquitoes altogether. And what's interesting about that is there's lots of mosquitoes that actually don't even bite humans, that they usually bite other animals, and also there's only a very small amount of mosquitoes. That's a certain species, kind of like there's certain species of dogs. There's different kind of dogs. There's different kind of mosquitoes that only carry the diseases that harm us. So there's a whole lot to it. But what are some suggestions that you would give people to help them avoid getting bit by mosquitoes after a rainy spring? So
In today's activity, you're going to help the little town of Pondville solve a pesky problem. There are too many mosquitoes. To solve the problem, you're going to figure out what the people of the town can build or do to stop getting bitten. Now, there's always been some mosquitoes in Pondville. Like last year, if you sat in the park for an hour at sunset, you might have gotten 1 or 2 mosquito bites. But this year, if you sat in the park for an hour, you got dozens and dozens of bites. And there are mosquitoes all over the town. Fortunately, there's no malaria in Pondville. But people are tired of getting so many bites. What happened? Why this change? Well, it rained a lot in Pondville this year. There are puddles everywhere. And that little pond in the city park became a big pond. Lots of water plus warm weather means lots of mosquitoes. But no one wants to drain the pond that gave Pondville its name. So what can the people of Pondville do? It's your job to figure that out. I'll show you how to get started, step by step. Find a partner. You and your partner will share ideas.
okay, so we have these
Get these
slides.
supplies.
I have it up on my computer right here, but you don't have it in your packets. That's fine. We're just gonna stay up here and use this.
Discuss with your partner. Then fill in number 1 on your worksheet.
So the people of Palmville have gathered 8 experts to help you come up with some solutions. Let's look at these. So what's the problem you need to solve? The problem is we need to figure out how we can have less mosquitoes because they're biting people so much they can't even enjoy the outside time. After all the rain and the warm weather, mosquitoes are just multiplying like crazy. So some solutions are, after listening to each expert, write down any ideas you have about how to solve the mosquito problem. The more ideas, the better. So some solutions are, the park ranger says mosquitoes need water for their eggs and larvae. So what are some solutions that you can think for that? Maybe we could drain the pond. Maybe we could try and dry it out some more. I don't know, that's a pretty tough one. Okay, so a fisherman says, fish eat mosquito eggs and larvae. Dragonflies eat mosquitoes. So this is true. There are some fish that love to eat mosquitoes a lot, and you've probably seen dragonflies before. They're like really big, like this, and most people ask, do they bite you? And they can, but they don't hurt you that much. They won't even break your skin. So that's definitely an idea that we could use. Is we could have lots of dragonflies come around, or we can try and get a lot of dragonflies to get together and have lots of dragonflies. Or we can put some fish in the pond, maybe. A weather reporter says mosquitoes can't fly and then wind over 10 miles per hour. I already know a few of you are thinking we can just build a big fan and put it over the city. Not a bad idea. We just have to figure out a way to do that. I'm never a person to say we can't do that, so not a terrible idea. So a home repair expert says mosquitoes can't get through screens or netting. Maybe we can screen or net in the whole city. Maybe that sounds like a lot of work, but not a bad idea. We can at least be safe at home. Another expert says, a hiker says mosquitoes bite most at sunrise and sunset. So right before the sun comes up, or right after the sun comes up, and then right before or after the sun goes down, when it's just over the horizon. So maybe we could think about coming out at the best times, or maybe those are the times that we can try to catch the mosquitoes. I don't know, pretty hard to catch. So birdwatcher says birds and bats eat lots of mosquitoes. Well, I love birds, and I actually have a bird feeder, and I enjoy birds a lot. So if I could get to see birds and then see them eat mosquitoes, it might not be too bad. It might be a good day. And then a dad and kid said insect repellent keeps them away, but it's icky. I would have to agree with them. I don't like insect repellents. Maybe for the birds, we can get like more bird feeders or other things that certain birds do. Maybe we can figure out which kind of birds eat them, like hummingbirds, or robins, or doves, or blue jays, or cardinals. Any kind. Who knows? We'd have to do some research on that. So let's go back to Doug.
Your first expert is a park ranger. She has observed what happens in the pond. Read what she's noticed aloud. Do her observations give you any ideas on how to solve the mosquito problem?
Hers is most
Write down.
mosquito eggs have to be in water to hatch, and the more water, the more mosquitoes. Oh my gosh! In warm weather, the eggs grow in 4 days. That's really quick. They grow to adults in 4 days. That's by the time, if it's wet outside, by the time you get back outside to go for a walk or hike or something, there could be adult mosquitoes everywhere. So this fisherman says the same thing about fish love to snack on them, and also dragonflies. And this one again said, the weather lady said, they can't fly in over 10 miles an hour, which is pretty funny because I never thought about that until I saw this. And I was like, come to think about it, I guess I've never really seen a mosquito on a windy day. I guess they're just like, they just can't fly well. And then we can put screens up there. They can't go through screens or nettings. They're just too big for it. The hiker says that he gets bit mostly at sunrise and sunset, so he tries to hike in the middle of the day. I wonder why that is. I could never figure that one out. Maybe it's just too warm for them. Some bats and birds love to eat mosquitoes. A hungry bird can eat 60 mosquitoes an hour, and a bat can eat 1,000 an hour. Maybe bats could be what we need. I think bats are really interesting creatures. That they can catch, like we can see mosquitoes, and even though we can see them, we can't catch them. And then bats, they can't even see them at all, and they can catch 1,000 in an hour. Isn't that crazy to think about? So it looks like expert 7 and 8 are a duo. Insect repellent is a great way of keeping mosquitoes away, the dad says, and the daughter says it smells funny and it's greasy. Ick. No thanks. So let's think of all of our ideas that we came up with, and if you came up with more
Now
ideas,
you have lots of ideas.
Don't think that just because I didn't think about it doesn't mean it's not a good idea. Mr. Lancaster is a teacher. I'm not an ideer. So, here comes Goose. Goose wanted to say hey. Hello. He jumped up. Hey y'all. Maybe Goose can eat mosquitoes. I don't know. I see him try and catch flies sometimes. So let's see.
Now you have lots of ideas about how to solve the problem of mosquitoes. So get your last supply. Each person needs one bug-off worksheet. You can choose from the playground, the picnic area, or the backyard, but only choose one.
All right. So we're going to do all these. Right, Goose? Yeah.
Have a look at the places that have big mosquito problems. Look at your bug-off worksheet and discuss. Afterwards, answer question number 3 on your problem solver sheet.
Okay, so we're going to pick up, we don't have that sheet right here. We're going to look at this one. We're going to pick up on this tomorrow, right here.
Choose a solution.
We're going to pick up on this tomorrow. We're on step 14. In the meantime, it was good seeing you guys. Bye. Goose loves you. I love you too. I miss you guys so much. Have a good one. Bye. Stay safe.